Hi, and welcome to my video tutorial. In this tutorial, I want to explain my thought process and what I went through to capture these photographs, and then I want to show you how I go about doing color adjustment in, in Photoshop. But I always start in Lightroom, so that's where we're starting. I imported these photographs that I took yesterday. The name of this file is Super Bowl whales. I was at a friend's house for the Super Bowl, and she lives just up on this hill, just amazing, amazing view of the ocean, and has whales regularly breaching right outside of her house. So I was able to sort of stand in the doorway between looking out over this view and watching inside of the media room, watching the football game, splitting my attention. And just had my little lens on there, and she asked me if I wanted to borrow her 400mm lens because we both shoot Canon and try and capture some of these breaching. So I was, yes, absolutely all for it. Thank you so much, Lisa. So I put the 400mm lens on and got myself ready for when the whales might breach. And the way that I went about doing that was I have my camera set to back button focus. And what that means is that I went into my custom settings on the back of my Canon and I removed the autofocus feature from the shutter button and assigned it to a different button on the back of the camera. It was a little trick that I learned from Rick Salmon, something he's very adamant about. I'm kind of still on the fence about it. It can be helpful, especially in these types of situations. Sometimes with portraits, it can kind of get in the way a little bit because you kind of got to move a little bit faster. But yes, I did get the focused set. I kind of knew about where I actually had it set to infinity focus because I knew they were out there somewhere, not up close. And I also had my camera set to continuous shooting mode, so that when I did press the button down, it would click as fast as it could. And that's another reason you want to remove the focus button from the shutter button, is if you go in continuous shooting mode, it's never going to try and focus. So, anyway, so that's what I did, and I was able to get these 3 shots here. This first one, I got the grass in the front. And at first, when I initially looked at this on the back of the camera, I was like, well, that's kind of a lousy shot. And then the second one, I thought, oh, it's kind of neat with the trees in the way. The third one, the splash was kind of going down. Whatever. There was another one, but it was gone by then. You can actually see the whale, and that is the whale there. So anyways, I did bison in this one, and I thought, I think this would be a great opportunity to try and do a photo merge and see what we could get. And even though the whale is not in either one of these, you still got the splash and you got the poof from the blowhole that's coming out over there. So I took these 2 photos. I exported them as large JPEGs. Again, no whale in the photo. So I wasn't too concerned about getting a lot of detail in there. I just wanted it to be clear enough. And exported them, and then jumped over to Photoshop, where I went and used the Automate Photo Merge feature. You click that. I'm not going to click it here. It opens up a dialog box. You select the photos that you want to merge together, click OK, and it runs through some crazy calculations and gives you this. This is masks out a portion of each of them, tilts to align them, and so on and so forth. I did some aligning once these photographs were merged together. There was all kinds of weird outlines and stuff. I then cropped it out so that it would have a normal photograph crop to it. And then I went to edit, and then I did transform and rotate and straighten up that horizon, which is something far more easier to do in Lightroom, but Lightroom does not have a photo merge feature, so I just went ahead and did it here. So anyways, this is what it came up with. I think it's a pretty neat photograph, probably not, worthy to hang in a gallery, but just neat. I like the composition of these just crazy, funky looking trees here. And this grass in the front that, oops, I just added something I didn't want to do. Added the grass here that's got the orange, and then you got the turquoise of the water. It's worth mentioning that I do shoot about a third of a stop under what my camera meters, because I feel like for me, it captures more information, and I do shoot raw, so I do have the full range. If I overexpose, it's going to blow out too many whites, and then the information's gone. I'll never get it back. But if I shoot a little bit under, it tends to allow me a ton more flexibility, and the color seems to come out better too. So here we are with the merged photo. Sorry, I will stop talking now. And the first adjustment that I want to make is with the levels. And what I'm trying to do, here is get rid of kind of this gray haze that's over it. And you don't really notice it all that much. The colors are really good in this photograph. So I don't need to do any kind of color adjustment, but I do want to get rid of the haze, which is in essence black and white. And here we are in the levels adjustment. The histogram is just nice and round. It's on the RGB channel, so if you know anything about Photoshop, when you add those three colors together, you get white, and when you subtract them all, you get black. I believe that's how it goes. Anywhere that they overlap. Anyways, so the levels here, this is basically your white slider and your black slider. All the colors added together or subtracted from each other. And I want to clip some of these lower pixels off, some of these dark pixels. And I actually figured this out to be 19. I want to bring that up so it brings me right to the beginning of that curve. And then I also want to do that with this. I want to get rid of just that flat bit of information, and I kind of figured 213 was a good place, and wow, that's just tremendously better. And then I want to move my center over just a little bit, like I said, because I do shoot a little bit underexposed. I want to brighten it up just a little bit, and that's it. So we clipped off some of the blacks, clipped off some of the whites, and brightened it up a little bit. And oh my goodness, I mean, this, if we're looking at my screen, it looks like I just took a squeegee and cleaned off the windshield. I mean, it's just, that much better. That's before, and that's after. I mean, just big difference, but that's not it. The next adjustment that I want to make is I want to then go add some brightness. So just a little bit of brightness, because as I was looking at this, it still looked a little bit gray to me. So I'm going to brighten it up a little bit. Wow, that's already making a difference. And then contrast. I want to add some contrast here. I kind of decided to go a little bit more contrasty. So I went to the 28, and that really then made that sky blue, made that ocean that dark blue, beautiful color, and made the waves stand out and everything, and got these bushes looking really good here. But I'm still not done yet. I want to do one last adjustment, which is something that I do to almost every single one of my photographs, and that's vibrance and saturation. And the vibrance, take up to about 25. It's about the same setting I use in Lightroom as well. And then the saturation, I could actually leave it alone, but I really want to get these bushes looking like the sun is shining on them. So I kind of figured on a 7. And that really added some pop to that, and brought the difference between that bright warm color and the dark cool colors. It just almost gives it that kind of rainbow effect. So this is looking really fantastic. The only thing I noticed is that I lost some of the detail here in the splash, and the only information that's here in the splash is white. There's no color information, and gray. So if I want to get that back, I have to go back to my levels here and mask it out. So add a mask there, make sure we're on our mask level, we're painting with black with the paintbrush, make sure our hardness is completely down, we get our soft edges normal. We'll go put this down just a little. 71 sounds about good. Make sure we're on our mask, and I'll just start painting. I'm on my Wacom tablet here, pressing down, letting up so that it applies the strokes. I'm just going to right over this branch here, And what I'm doing is I'm watching the mask, I'm glancing over there, and I want to make sure I completely poke a hole through that so that I get all that information that I can back into that splash over there. So that looks pretty good. Let me just double check that I did it correctly. And the way I do that is I hold down the Option key, Alt on a PC, and click on the mask, and it turns everything off. And indeed, it went completely black, so it's punched a hole completely through. Again, hold Option, Alt on a PC, click on the mask once again to bring the photo back. And now we have that, but we also lost some information when we brightened and added contrast. So I want to mask that off as well. So instead of creating a new mask, let's just use this one, which is already painted to the outline of that splash in the first place. Again, handy dandy Option or Alt key, and click on the mask, drag up, and it'll create a copy, drop it right on that. And sure enough, it got rid of that brightness that was in that. I think I may want to just add a little bit back over here just because it was kind of graying the water just a little bit. But yeah, that's it. That's the last adjustment that I'm going to make to this. So that was pretty easy. Let's go take a look at our before, which now just looks completely awful and muddy. We added our levels, which made a huge difference. I mean, that in itself could have been good, but then we saw what brightness and contrast could do, and wow. And then a teensy bit of vibrance and saturation just made it zing. So I'll try and put this up on the blog with a mouse over so that you can do the before and after for your heart's content. Anyways, I hope this helped you solve a problem or gave you some inspiration or some ideas. Please leave me a comment or shoot me an email if you have any questions, and we'll see you in the next video.